I'm back on Warframe. This is just gonna be kind of a rant video. Why does this character exist? Why? This character is broken, bro. If you somehow don't know about this character, I'm gonna explain the abilities and explain why I'm saying this. This character has no reason being this good. She's been out for a while. I'm late to the party, but like, she's still like this, and they butchered Dante. Doesn't even make sense. So anyway, let's get into the abilities. This is my build. I use Roar, and we're gonna get to that in a little bit. But basically, her passive, you can kind of see it right here. You can have two aura mods on, and they both contribute to your capacity. So yeah, I'm getting capacity from both of these mods. So even an unranked Jade can put a bunch of mods on. Bro, can this guy shut the heck up? Even an unranked Jade can put a bunch of mods on, which, you know, it's not really a huge deal, but like 92 capacity is insane. Then we get to the other part of the passive, because for some reason this is supposed to have two parts, because that wasn't good enough. Some of her abilities apply judgments, which increases the enemy's damage vulnerability by 50% for 10 seconds. This is her 1 and her 4, which I took off. I don't really like it that much. I couldn't even tell you really what it does. You just float in the air and mark people and then like detonate them, and I'm pretty sure it's not even that bad. I just don't like it. And you'll see why it's not worth using after I explain more about the character, but basically her 1 does it, and we're going to get into that now. So her 1 throws a circle on the ground that heals a percent of any ally's HP per second. You can have up to 5 of these down, and with my build, which is only 125 duration, it lasts 12.5 seconds, and with only a 145% range, it has an 8.7 meter radius. You can have 5 of these down. The judgments will get constantly applied the entire time an enemy is within this circle, so it's actually longer than 10 seconds, because they probably won't leave this circle if they're shooting you, because they're going to be standing still to shoot you, and yeah, 50% damage vulnerability from a passive is insane. Like, let's go to Equinox for a second and look at Rest and Rage. How much strength? 231. 115%. So with like a pretty decent amount of power strength, you know, this is like probably the average power strength you'd have for an Equinox build, you know, maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. You're only getting half the damage vulnerability, and it's a passive that goes on top of what the ability already does. It also does a little bit of damage, but that's not really a huge thing. It's nice because it puts heat on them for like priming and stuff, but that's about it. It's mainly the 50% damage vulnerability, and sometimes the healing if you have like an Inaros or something on your team. Pretty nice. This is where it gets stupid though. Her second ability, Symphony of Mercy. Kind of like Titania, you can swap between different buffs, and all of these buffs are better versions of pre-existing abilities, all on one ability. Power of the Seven. Okay, so, well, first of all, I'll get into this part first. Um, my, with my duration, it lasts 37.5 seconds, which you might think is like, okay, you know, pretty average. But anytime you kill an enemy that has a judgment on them, which your 1 puts on them in a giant circle, anytime you defeat one of those enemies with a judgment on them, you restore 2 seconds to the duration, and this can go over the normal maximum. So my ability can go over 70 seconds in duration. Yeah, over a minute long. And all I have to do is throw my one down a few times and kill those enemies. And it does that. Swapping between different buffs does not require you to reactivate the ability, so it will not lose its timer, and it will stay at whatever it was before you swapped it. And it only will go back to the default timer when you reactivate the ability, because maybe you want more power strength on it from like more augmented or something. So now let's get into the three different ability parts of it. So Power of the Seven, with my current power strength, is an 89% power strength buff to all allies in affinity range. This ability has affinity range, which I'm not mistaken is 40 or 50 meters, which is, for example, basically the ability I compare this to is once again Equinox, and Equinox's Pacify and Provoke with the Peaceful Provocation Augment mod. So I only have 231% power strength, much less than my other, much less than Jade. But look at the power strength this is giving, 76. And mind you, this has a cap. Um, I don't know what the cap is. I don't think I have a build that reaches the cap. But I think the max that this can go to is 80%. So like the ability would have 50% and the augment would give 30%. I think it's like that. Uh, Jade's power strength buff does not have a cap for some reason, and its affinity range, so you do not even need to build for range for it to be stupid and hit your entire team, because 40 to 50 meters, whether it's 40 or 50, is a stupid range for a buff like that, and there's still two other buffs that it does, and it lasts up to 70 seconds with only 125% duration. Um, you can use power donation, and it barely loses that much strength of the ability, but then you can give 30% more. And with more augmented fully stacked, I've seen this ability be over 110% to the power strength buff. And then you factor in growing power and power donation. And depending on your power strength, you could be giving your teammates like 150% power strength just for existing and doing some, and your teammates do some status effects. Then we get to the second part of this ability, because it's a three-part ability that is better. That is a better version of previously existing abilities that do the same thing. And we get to Deathbringer. The only thing about this that's balanced is that it is additive, but with my current power strength, it's directly proportional to how much power strength you have, unless you go under 100, obviously. Um, Actually, it might. Never mind. I think I'm lying. Yeah, it's probably the same thing. So I have 355%, so I get 355% damage increase additive to my weapons. Only to weapons. We're gonna get more into why this is stupid in a second, but if we look at Chroma, obviously this is not giving as much as Chroma, but I have 294. Vex armor is giving me 808% with 294. So less than half. It's less than half as good as Vex armor, which you might be saying like, okay, that's not really a better version of that ability, but this goes on your whole team. All three of these buffs go on your whole team in affinity range. This is without more augmented stacks. This ability can be over 400% damage increase to all of your teammates. I understand like Chroma's Vex armor can go to your teammates, but they basically have to be like on top of you for it to do that, because you're not building range on Chroma or you're trolling, and if you are, you're not getting that much weapon damage. This is stupid, and we're gonna get into why it's even more stupid in a second. But Just remember that's only part 2 of this ability. And then we get the Spirit of Resilience, which is basically Protea's the shield grenade thing, shield array, whatever grenade. It gives you shields per second, and it reduces the delay from when your shields can begin recharging after you take damage. With my current power strength, it is 36% shields per second, and a minus 36% to the delay. This gets over 40%, close to 50%, with Mo augmented all the way up, and growing power, and Zeneric, and all that good stuff. Absolutely insane. If you combine this with certain mods, you're like basically unkillable, and you don't even need to build max shields. You just regen shields so fast, and yeah, this goes to your whole team. So if you have like a what's that character's name? Hildren, yeah. If you have a Hildren on your team, and if she's doing her stupid link to you bullcrap, yeah, you're just never gonna die, bro. It's it's just not gonna happen. Then we get to the third ability, which is in my opinion the best armor strip in the game, and for some reason it's her subsume ability. I don't know if they were smoking crack, but that's what it is. So, with 145% range, it has a 29-meter range, and its angle is 70 degrees, which is not affected by any mods. A 70-degree cone in front of you is projected, and that cone goes as far as your range stat, and is affected by duration of how long the cone will stay up until you have to use the ability again. And this cone revives any downed allies in its range, even through walls, applies a 15% per second, up to 90% slow on the enemies, so it's like, the enemies can't move, like max cold procs, and it reduces their armor every second that you're looking at them as well. All you need to do is press the button and look at the enemies, and they lose armor and shields. Move up to 90% slower, and it revives the allies within its range through walls. Yeah, stupid. It's only 35%, which doesn't sound that crazy. It's like, okay, you have to wait 3 seconds and it strips all their armor off. Like, okay. This ability gets buffed by year 2, and that with Molt Augmented gets this to over 60%. So it only takes 2 seconds of looking at an enemy before they don't have armor anymore. And all you had to do is press the button and look at them. Sadly, this ability cannot be extended with the Light's Judgments, or the Judgments, but it's not that hard to press it every 37.5 seconds with only 125% duration. This is also her subsume. I don't know if the defense reduction per second is modified, but I know that it does not do the reviving allies part. So either way, it's stupid. Pretty much the best armor strip in the game, and it can go on any frame. So that's already 3 things that are stupid. Her passive being a double passive, her 2 being 3 of the best abilities in the game on one ability, and her 3rd being one of the best armor strips, if not the best armor strip in the game. But what makes this character stupid is, for some reason, they thought it would be okay that you could put Roar on this character when she already has a damage increase ability. You can't do this on Chroma. You can't do this on Mirage. You can't do this on anybody like this. Unless you count like Saren. And Saren's OP. So, yeah, I do not know why they were thinking that. So, yeah, you just take the ult off and you put Roar on. And you look at enemies, they have no armor. you press your 2 and spam your 1 and kill the ads, and you have infinite damage increase. And then you press roar whenever it wears off, and you have a multiplicative damage increase that's stacking with your additive damage increase. This character makes no sense. 50% damage vulnerability on an enemy, over 400% with my build, and the more augmented, over 400% additive damage to your weapons, and this gets to over 150% multiplicative with the roar. And this affects your teammates, this affects your teammates, and this is taking all their defenses off and slowing them and reviving your teammates through walls. And the 50% damage vulnerability applies to your teammates. They can benefit from this too. There is no better frame in the game, in my opinion, at simultaneously supporting the team and destroying everything on the map. Wisp was already strong, and then this came out. Citrine was already strong, and then this came out. If you pair this with a Wisp or a Citrine, your team never dies, your team never has to face defenses, and your team one-shots every single ad in the game. And yeah, the only thing this character doesn't do is like give your team energy that like you would need, and it doesn't have like a nuking ability, but her ult is supposed to be one. I just took it off, right? If you wanted to do an ult build, you could take off like her 1 or something. I just like running around and shooting my gun, not flying around like a fairy, you know? So I took that off. Insane. All right, I'm gonna cut to some like Simulacrum and stuff and just show you guys what I'm talking about. But yeah, let's go. Alrighty, here I am at the Simulacrum. I'm gonna be using this with the Occucore because it's a stupid combo. This is my build. Okay, so basically, I'm gonna get my energy here. These are level 155 corrupted heavy gunners. Basically, I'm just gonna put this down. Proc a status. Make sure that when you pop your abilities, you're on the ability strength 1. Switch to the weapon damage 1. Then we get up the tentacles. And yeah, it's pretty much like the best character to use with the Occucore because the Occucore hits everything on your screen, and everything on your screen has no armor for 37 seconds. I can also use it with the Sporothorix. Oh, and I haven't even been throwing this down. It makes them more vulnerable. Yeah, they don't have armor. They're not allowed to do that kind of thing. All right, I can use it with the Orpheus here. All right, Orpheus. Yep, 5.6 million. Make sure they're vulnerable. Yeah, this character is dumb. This character's dumb. All right, hold up. I'm gonna use it with the Prisma Crocata. This is my build. All right. Do my stuff again. Make sure you're on the green one. This character is broken. This character's broken. I don't know why they thought it was a good idea to give a character an ability that's 3 abilities, and all 3 of them are some of the best abilities in the game. I'll swap to the shield one, and yeah, I didn't mention it, but the what's this called? The Spirit of Resilience buff, those shields go to overshields when you reach maximum shields. I don't know why. I don't know why they do that, but they do. So yeah. I don't know. This character's dumb. That's all I wanted to say. I don't know why she's still like this, but Dante got nerfed, right? So maybe I don't know. I don't. Dude, they nerfed Dante, but they don't nerf this. Insane. Whatever.